everyone, welcome everybody. What is going on? So the Champions League draws have been made, and I think overall we've had some very good draws. Overall we've had some very tasty draws, very exciting draws, and unlike most years, we actually don't have a group of death in all honesty. So I'm actually really glad about that. I'm really looking forward to all the groups. It's funny. It is really funny. Year after year, for years, I've been asking for PSG. I've been asking for PSG in the group stage. I've been asking for PSG in the knockout stages, in the round of 16, in the quarterfinals, and sometimes in the semi-finals. For years, I've wished to play them, and every time we didn't get them. The one time I'm like, you know what? I asked for them for years, and we've never gotten them. So what's the point of even asking about it? What's the point of even hoping to get PSG? Because ultimately, we're not going to get PSG. The one year I think like that is the one year we actually get PSG. So I'm very happy. I'm very glad. Ultimately, I'm looking forward to the matches. I'm looking forward to a lot of these matches, a lot of these groups, and I think overall, like I said, there isn't really a group of death. So like each group has very exciting matches, and it's not like, you know, a group has like no good matches. I think each group has something to look forward to. Which is just good for obviously us who watch all the matches, who try and watch all the matches, all the exciting matches, who are now able to do so as well. Because no matter what match day it is, we should be able to get an exciting game. So that's, in my opinion, the good news. I'm going to talk about our group last, because I want to talk about, you know, all the other groups first before I go into us, because I probably talked the most about our group, and that's just the way it is. So let's quickly go over to Group A. Group A: Benfica, Manchester United, Basel, and CSKA Moscow. Now, obviously, the two massive favourites are honestly Benfica and Manchester United, in all fairness. And looking at like the two teams, looking at the three teams that I think have a good chance, which are Basel, United, and Benfica, each of them, you know, have a very good chance, I think, to get through. With obviously Benfica and United being the huge favourites. Now, you look at United, and you know, with the amount of money that they spend on new players, and then obviously with Zlatan Ibrahimovic coming back, with the money that they spend in midfield, with the money that they spend in attack, you know, you have to say that they should be the overwhelming favourites. And I think they are the overwhelming favourites. Actually, no, I don't think they're the overwhelming favourites, but I think they are the favourites in that group, with Benfica being a close second. If I had to give a number, if I had to give a percentage, I'd say Manchester United is probably 60% likely to go through, 50% likely to top the group, and 10% to be the second. With Benfica then obviously being also, you know, quite likely to go through, with Basel just being a little likely to go through. And I think obviously the key match for me in that group would honestly be United versus Benfica. I think that is going to make for a very, very, very interesting draw. Very interesting match, and I think you know, ultimately I'm looking forward to that match in Group A personally. Then you go to Group C. You have Chelsea, Atletico, AS Roma, and Qarabağ, I think they're called. The first time in the Champions League. Are people going to watch them? I think a few people might, but ultimately, obviously, the three other teams are the highlights of the group, in all fairness. So you have Chelsea, Atletico Madrid, and Roma, and I think each of those teams have a very good chance. Obviously, you'd say the overwhelming favourites would be at Atletico and Chelsea, but I think that Roma, a lot of people are underestimating Roma. I think Roma are very good. Perhaps not as good as the other two teams, but that doesn't matter. They're still very good, and if they can win their home matches and maybe perhaps get a draw away, you know, they would have a chance. But like I said, the overwhelming favourites, I think, are Chelsea and Atletico Madrid, with Atletico Madrid perhaps being the bigger favourites. But obviously, with Chelsea, they still have a few problems here and there. They didn't really buy players in the transfer window, whereas Atletico Madrid, they were able to hold on to their star players. They already had a very, very good team. So for me, Atletico Madrid are the overwhelming favourites. And for me, you know, they will most likely win that group. Chelsea coming second, Atletico coming third, and then Qarabağ coming fourth. That's just the way I see it. I think Atletico Madrid, I'm almost certain they will make it through, because they're just the kind of team that gets result. And obviously, the highlight of the group will be Chelsea versus Atletico Madrid versus Chelsea, not Chelsea versus Atletico Madrid. I think Atletico playing at home versus Chelsea will be a very interesting game, just because you have the Simeone versus Conte matchup. You know, two managers that are fairly similar. That should make for an exciting game. But I think with this group in particular, maybe the last game of the match, maybe the last game of the group stage will probably be or might be the most important game, because it could go down to the very last game with Roma potentially clinching a spot to, you know, obviously the knockout stages. So I think it should be a very interesting draw. I think it should be a very interesting group with a lot of very interesting games ultimately. So I'm looking forward to that group. Should be fun. I think it should be fun. Next up, you have Group D, which is Juventus, Barcelona, Olympiacos, and Sporting. Juventus, obviously, the overwhelming favourites. Barcelona, they've got Messi, so that makes them pretty much favourites too. Olympiacos and Sporting, yeah, I do kind of feel sorry for them. That's perhaps the one group where you could say, like I said, that's perhaps the one group where you could say that the two teams, Juventus and Barcelona, are most likely going to win, you know, with overwhelming odds. But I think Juventus are probably the most likely to go through. I think Juventus will make it through. I think that, you know, they're going to win. They're going to top the group, and I think Barcelona, obviously, they have Messi. That alone, you know, makes them go through, in my opinion, because the guy, he's just too good. He's just too good, right? Let's just face it. He's just too good. But I think besides that, I do think that Olympiacos and Sporting, they're gonna make for quite an interesting matchup for the third position. I think that both of them have a good chance. With obviously, I think Sporting being overwhelming favourites, but Olympiacos, they aren't as bad as people might think. You know, they aren't that bad. They're pretty decent. They're a pretty decent team. So I think Sporting versus Olympiacos will be quite an interesting matchup for the third position. But I also think the key match will be Barcelona versus Juventus in that order. Barcelona at home versus Juventus, because I think Juventus are a much better team. So I know that's going to get a lot of dislikes in the video and whatnot now, but I think Juventus are a much better team. And so that's why I think Barcelona playing at home, obviously giving them a little advantage, should make for a lot better match. But I still think Juventus are going to come in first. They're just that good, you know, they're just that good. Next up, we have Group E, Sparta, Moscow, Sevilla, Liverpool, and Maribor. Straight away, I think the highlight of that group will be Sevilla versus Liverpool. Basically, a repeat of the 2015, I think? 2015 Europa League final. I think it's 2015 or 2016. 2015 it was. A repeat of the 2015 Europa League final, which obviously Sevilla won. This time you have Liverpool versus Sevilla again, and I think this is really a story between them two. And I don't really know about Sevilla. That's the problem, because Sevilla, they usually don't do well in the Champions League until they get to the group stage, and until they get to the Europa League, I should say. So you would say that Liverpool are perhaps the overwhelming favourites in that group. But I still think it's going to be quite a close match between Sevilla and Liverpool for that first position. So just out of them two, I actually think Liverpool will top the group, just because Sevilla, I don't know why, but they're just not good in the Champions League whatsoever. So I don't see them actually dropping to the Europa League. So I think Liverpool will come first, Sevilla will come second, and then it's going to be a battle between Maribor and Spartak Moscow for third place, which I think Moscow will win. But what's the key matchup in that group? Probably Liverpool versus Sevilla. I'd say probably Liverpool versus Sevilla, just because Liverpool, they like to attack. And Sevilla, they know how to score goals too. So it's going to make for quite an interesting match, whichever way you want it. Sevilla versus Liverpool, or Liverpool versus Sevilla. I think ultimately it's going to be a very good matchup. I think ultimately it's going to be a very good game, and ultimately it should be fun. But moving on to Group F, Shakhtar Donetsk, Manchester City, Napoli, and Feyenoord. Ooh. Oh, you have two teams I think most people think will make it through, and then you have two teams who most people think might have a very slim chance. The two teams I think people will kind of expect to make it through are Manchester City and Napoli, and obviously two teams that people don't know if they could make it potentially. You know, they might have a slim chance or whatnot. Are Shakhtar Donetsk and Feyenoord, especially Shakhtar Donetsk in my opinion. So. Oh, that is a good group. I think that is a very exciting group in my opinion. I think Manchester City are probably the big favourites. With Napoli just behind. So I'll say Manchester City will come in first, with Napoli coming in second. But Napoli could easily come in first as well. It all depends. I think the reason why I put Manchester City first is because of Pep Guardiola. Especially with all the pressure that is on him right now, and like the signing he's made, I can see them absolutely coming first, and I can see them absolutely have a very good campaign, because Pep is just that good. But Napoli, they have such a good team as well that they could easily come in first as well. So I think that's probably going to be the most interesting matchup. And I don't know which one is the more interesting one, Manchester City versus Napoli or Napoli versus Manchester City, because both of them could honestly be decide. Both of them could honestly decide who comes in first and who comes in second. And I think, you know what, I'll go with Napoli versus Manchester City. I think that one might be a bit more entertaining than Manchester City versus Napoli. So Napoli being at home is, in my opinion, probably more entertaining, and I'm looking forward to that. But next up, Group G, AS Monaco, FC Porto, Besiktas, and Leipzig. That is a group that I don't know what to expect from. That is honestly the one group that I don't really know what to expect from. Monaco, if the rumours are true, Paris United obviously came out a few weeks ago and said that Mbappe is going to move to PSG. If the rumours are true, like I said, that's a key part here. If the rumours are true and Mbappe leaves and they don't get a replacement in time, I could definitely see them struggle. It's kind of funny considering how far they got last season. Then you have FC Porto, a team that continuously brings out more and more amazing players. Then you have Besiktas, a team that has spent a decent amount of money and gotten a few interesting players in the summer. And then you have Leipzig, who last season did so well, but obviously struggled so far at the first game of the Bundesliga. So you have a lot of teams that could potentially play much better than some people will give them credit for. And all of these teams can also play much worse than you might expect them to, which is in my opinion the funny thing, because you don't know which team is going to be good, because all of them are quite inconsistent. I'd say a lot, so it's going to be quite interesting to see just how that goes. Just because obviously I've seen Leipzig the most, I'm going to go with Leipzig being first, but that also obviously depends on how well they actually do. They kept to the star players and they've added a few interesting additions, so you could say they should be stronger than they were last season. Last season they were pretty strong, so perhaps they will make it through. I don't know. I'd assume so. I think they've got the group which enables them to get used to the Champions League the best. But again, they have to get used to the Champions League. It's a different thing. So I'll go with Leipzig coming in first. And my gut feeling says Monaco coming in second, but my gut feeling is mostly wrong nowadays. It used to be always right, now it's mostly wrong. So I'll stick with that. I'll stick with Leipzig coming in first, Monaco coming in second, and I'll go with Porto coming in third, and Besiktas coming in last. That's my take. But again, it might be this group literally could be anyone. Anyone could be first, anyone could be last, anyone could be second, anyone could be third. So I think that's what makes this group so entertaining. Group G for good games, good group. Now Group H, we got familiar faces: Real Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, Tottenham, and Apoel. Real Madrid versus Dortmund. Real Madrid versus Dortmund. Oh boy, like we get them every year. We pretty much get them every single year. I mean, when have we not gotten those two teams matched up? I mean, that's basically it's always, to be fair, now that I think about it, it's always been between them two teams that one game, like one team wins and the other game one team loses. So it's always been very equal. It always has been. Despite Real Madrid having a much better team, the matchups have always been fairly equal. So I think that's just going to make for a very entertaining draw. Obviously, last season Dortmund came first in the group and Real Madrid came second. But I don't think that's going to happen this time. I like Tuchel. I like Tuchel a lot. I thought he was very, very good. And I don't think they have that kind of chemistry right now that they could actually, come in first against Real Madrid. So I think that Real Madrid will top the group, with Dortmund coming in second, Tottenham coming in third, and Apoel coming in fourth. But I think the highlight of this group will probably be Dortmund versus Real Madrid. Dortmund at home versus Real Madrid. Because I think Real Madrid at home will beat Dortmund, and like I said, they usually are fairly equal. Usually Dortmund beats Real Madrid at home too. So it's always fairly equal, but I don't think that's going to be quite the case this time. I think it's going to be much harder for Dortmund to actually do well. Like I said, I'm a fan of Tuchel. I've always been a fan of Tuchel. I thought he was excellent. So I just think it might be a lot more difficult now without him for Dortmund than it was perhaps in previous years. That's my thoughts. But now that we have all the groups out of the way, let's talk about Bayern. Let's talk about Bayern because I have stalled long enough. I almost feel like I'm doing the Champions League draw right now where I just stall, talk about useless things, and then before I finally draw the balls and finally pick the groups, that's basically the way I feel right now, wasting 15 minutes of your time just talking about random things that you're not interested in. That's basically how I feel right now. So, let's talk about Group B. Bayern, PSG, Anderlecht, and Celtic. Wow. Wow. I kind of made this thought before on Twitter where I basically said, imagine our defense. Neuer, Alaba, Hummels, Boateng. I'm guessing that's going to be our defense, by the way. That obviously, Sula might take the place. Javi might take that place, obviously, depending on injuries and whatnot. But imagine that defense. Neuer, Alaba, Hummels, Boateng, Kimmich versus an attack in the likes of Cavani, Neymar, likely for it to be Mbappe as well. Then you have the likes of Di Maria, Draxler, and it's just a question of, bruh, can we stop them? But the question is also, can they stop us? And I don't think they can. Can we stop them? I think we can. Maybe not completely. Maybe not 100%. I don't think we can go to nil against such a good attack. But I also don't think they can go to nil against such a good attack of ours. So I think ultimately this is going to be the matchup of goals. I think that's ultimately what I think this group is going to be. The matchup of goals with each team wanting to score as many goals as possible. I think our defense is much better as well. And our midfield is better as well. So I just think that we're overall attack. You may argue, because obviously with our wingers being a bit old and here and there and whatnot, so and maybe not being ready to play, maybe not 100% and whatnot when a draw comes around, considering how injured they are. But attack, you could argue. I'd say a striker is much better than anything else than that. You could argue, but I think our midfield is better, our defense is better, our keeper is better. And ultimately, I think our coach is better. So I think a lot of things we're better in, but just because their attack, just because how good and how many attackers they have as a whole, this should make for a very entertaining draw. So I think those are obviously going to be the two huge games, the two huge matchups. I think the PSG versus Bayern matchup is going to be much better than the Bayern versus PSG matchup. I think PSG at home versus us is going to be make for a very entertaining draw. Carlo Ancelotti, he wants revenge, I'm guessing, considering he was fired. So it's going to make for a very, very, very entertaining game. It's going to make for a very entertaining group. Now, obviously, I have to talk about Anderlecht and Celtic as well. I wanted to play against Celtic for quite a while now, and I'm really glad that we got them in the group. I think they wanted to play against us for quite a while now as well, but I wanted to play against Celtic. I really did. Anderlecht, yeah, that to make for quite an entertaining game. This group, I mean, obviously, I think us being first in the group, obviously Bayern fan here, but us being first in the group, obviously I'm expecting that. PSG coming second in the group, I'm expecting that. And then third position, that's tough. I think Celtic perhaps will come in third. I think Celtic perhaps will come in third with Anderlecht coming in fourth, but that also depends obviously on how they play. I think it might be a case where each of them, or it might go down to like the last match day between them two teams, and I just think this is such a good group. I'm just so happy to. You guys don't understand. I was just so happy to play against PSG. For this year, I was actually hoping for Barcelona, in all honesty, to play Barcelona in a group stage. But I'm even more happy with PSG. I just didn't think it would happen. I just did not expect it to happen, and now that it actually happened, I'm really, really glad, because PSG, the whole situation is just going to be interesting from our club side versus their club. It's just going to be so fun. It's going to be such a good matchup, in all honesty, and I'm just hoping, and that's my big hope here, when the matchup happens, when the game happens, our players aren't injured, because that's our biggest issue so far. Our players have always been injured, so I'm just hoping that when the match happens, our players won't be injured, because I always say it's best to get the good teams out of the way straight away, and that's why I always want to play. I always want to play against the good teams in the first place. Don't get me wrong. I always want to play against the best, because I think if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. You can't just avoid the best teams. It doesn't matter if it's the group stage, round of 16, quarterfinals, semi-finals, or the finals. I want to play against the best, because ultimately I want to be the best. That's just the way it is. But I think there's going to be a good matchup. I think there's going to be a good matchup, a good group, a good team, a good Champions League campaign, and I think ultimately we're going to have a lot of good games in the Champions League. Not just us, but in the Champions League as a whole. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm really happy about the way things have proceeded. I'm very happy, considering that I had to sit through that boring draw where they just kept talking about random things that I really don't care about. Considering I had to go through all that, I came out a very happy fan. That's all I can say. A very happy fan, a very happy person. That's just the way I am right now, because I am just so happy about the matchups. I'm just so happy about the teams, and I think there's just so many good games, so many good stories to be written, so many good matchups, and it's just going to be so much fun. That's my take, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me what you guys think about each group. Who do you think will come in first? Who do you think will come in second? Tell me in the comment section down below. As always, you can rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. Peace out, and have a nice day. Bye.